when I started playing Overwatch.
Yep.
I like one-tricked him for a while, but
Yep.
like I didn't take the game very seriously when I started.
Sure. Okay. Okay. And then
And then I eventually swapped over to playing a lot more like flex supports.
okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Kiriko, Ana, Baptiste. Is that the order of priority as well?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I like
Okay.
by far play Kiriko the most, and then
Okay.
Samana, and then Baptiste has like a soft third option.
Sure. Sure. Sounds good. Why specifically Kiriko? Is it by preference, by need, a little bit of
I
both?
just really like her gameplay loop, I think.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
like that ability to like duel other characters is really fun to me.
Sure. Makes sense. Makes sense. And then in terms of like percentage breakdown, how does that usually look like in terms of how much Kiriko, how much Ana, how much Baptiste? Is it like 80,
Um,
or 70, 20, 10?
yeah, probably
Whatever.
something like that.
Okay. Sounds good. And when do you pick each character? What situations are you playing Kiriko? What situations are you playing Bap and so on?
Kiriko's like my default pick. If I'm on like a dive map and I see my team's like going monkey and things like that, then I'll go Ana.
Okay. Okay.
And then
So,
Baptiste, I'll end up playing on like Circuit, Havana sometimes as well.
yep. Okay. So
The
more of a map
poker maps.
situational thing.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Sounds good. I probably play 15 to 20 hours fairly spread out, about 2 to 3 hours per day. Is that still the case?
yeah.
Is this solo queue ranked or is there other stuff done in that time as well?
A lot of it's ranked. Sometimes I'll have scrim blocks since
Sure.
I play with teams,
Sure.
and
Sure.
then
How often do you scrimmage?
I try to probably like twice a week right now.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
It's pretty
And
casual.
and I assume okay. And I assume the hero pool's like relatively the same.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Okay, sounds good. Kiriko, Ana, Baptiste, solo queue rank. Do you have a warm up routine, or do you have any other questions about training routine? It seems like you've got consistent play time, relatively solid hero pool for the amount of time that you're playing, and so on.
Usually I'll just like hop in Vaxta and like shoot there, get like 100 kills or something on Kiriko, and then
Okay.
hop
Okay.
into ranked.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Do you have any questions about practice, training schedule, hygiene, any of those things?
Um, as far as like improving mechanically, is there anything else that you'd recommend aside from like just playing the game and warming up?
Yeah. So I mean, I think as always, like the best thing you can do to improve your mechanics is practice it in ranked, right? But
Yeah.
I do want to highlight like you do need to practice that in ranked, especially at your level. Like if we talk about a player that's brand new to mouse and keyboard, they might just be able to play and just as long as their sensitivity isn't garbage, just play, 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 play. They're gonna get a lot better. But
For
at your
sure.
level, you're gonna need to put a little bit more deliberate effort into finding out what about your mechanics needs to get better. Is it a crosshair placement issue? I mean, one of the common issues that I see with Kiriko is just due to her rate of fire. People can be very spammy with her in situations that they should not be spammy, right? So, like being a lot more deliberate, trigger discipline, slowing down your shots. I mean, we can look at that in your replay code as well. But what that would mean is that you'd go in and you'd go into the game and you'd specifically be practicing being very precise and deliberate with each and every shot. And that's the only thing you practice for that entire session, that entire game. Not your positioning, not your ults, and so on. And that can feel a little bit awkward or weird, but that's what would be necessary for you to actually improve your Kiriko mechanics. And then you'd have similar things with Baptiste, with like the weaving accuracy, and Ana with being deliberate with your nade placement and so on. So I guess the way to practice mechanics at your level is mostly just to practice mechanics deliberately in game and the same amount of intensity that you would about trying to figure out how to position on a map that you're unfamiliar with. It's just the same amount of thinking, and that's what we're trying to bring into your instincts by just practice, if that makes sense.
Okay, so just like take some of my games and really focus on my
Yep.
aim specifically.
Yep.
Okay, I
Exactly.
gotcha.
Exactly. And the specific facet of the game, right? Like the trigger discipline, the crosshair placement, the weaving. Like I said, a specific
Yeah, yeah.
facet that you can focus on. Okay. Goals. I want to improve to compete in tournaments, whether through Faceit or another community. Long term, I want to be a consistent Grandmaster support player. Okay, fair enough. Why is that? Is it just because Overwatch is, important to you, or what's the goal here for you
Um,
wanting to be at that level?
I just really like the game,
Sure,
and like I just really like improving too. So
sure. I mean, that's as good of a reason as
yeah.
any. Okay, sounds good. And then in terms of your team play, how are you feeling about your team play structure right now? Seems like it's pretty casual right now, but it seems like you want to take it more seriously eventually. Talk me through
Yeah,
that,
it's pretty casual right now. I just joined a team, so like we're getting started. It's
of course.
yeah, we plan on joining like a tournament here in like the next month or so. But
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah, at the moment it's just like getting reps with them.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, I think my mechanics are an 8 out of 10, although it can be very inconsistent. I believe that I have a good mentality when playing, but could focus more in game, as in just more intensity with your practice.
Yeah, I think sometimes I like play ranked and I know I should like be more focused on it, but I end up being pretty playing pretty casually.
Sure, sure. Do you have any ideas about fixes to that or why that might be the case?
Um, I'm not too sure. Maybe I
Okay,
just need to focus more when I do it. Like
sure, sure.
not play maybe as long and just have like more concentrated
Sure,
sessions.
sure. I encourage you to experiment with that a little bit because I think like
Yeah.
there's some definite rules with that, right? Like taking breaks between each game, really really important rule. Getting enough sleep, really important rule. Being more deliberate, maybe playing for shorter sessions, really important rule. And one of the nice things as well that is really consistently useful is that getting feedback really helps because that gives you something to put your attention to. A lot of people struggle because they don't really know what they're supposed to be practicing, so they don't really practice anything, and that just naturally leads to autopilot, right? But
Right.
I obviously like I'm not going to be here every day, so you're going to have to
Yeah.
you're either going to need to provide your own feedback loop for things to work on, or you're going to have to find some way to motivate yourself to put in a little bit more. But I think always looking for systemic solutions, right? Not just like, oh, I need to focus a little bit more or whatever. Well,
Yeah,
why
for sure.
is
Yeah.
that so hard? Because like you are playing at a high level, so you're going to need to ask more and more from yourself, and so you need to create an environment where playing, focusing, doing these things feels very natural, and that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, right? Like you're asking a lot from yourself, so you got to find out what are the little details that you can clean up. Micro macro definitely needs more work to be more automatic and precise. Okay, so what about your micro and macro?
I think as far as micro goes, I think a lot of time I just like end up questioning myself too much on what I should be doing in the moment.
Sure.
And like I'll like sometimes just get a little flustered. It
Yep.
like
Yep.
I just won't expect something to happen.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
might just be me autopiloting again.
Sure. Sure. Again, I'm
And
going
then
to push you a little bit here. What kind of things do you? I mean, you probably can't think of any off the top of your head, but I challenge you to try and think of what situations fluster you.
um I think it's just like fights where like I forgot to like track like what they're gonna try and do this fight versus like what we're gonna try and do.
Talking about like
And then
ultimates,
like
positions, comps, a little bit of everything.
yeah, just kind of everything. I can't think of anything specifically,
Okay,
but
okay, okay. That's kind of like where I'm prodding you though, is you need to be more
yeah, for
specific with
sure.
that, right? Like you need to be more specific because
Yeah,
it is a lot. So then maybe you just need to find one of those ingredients and work on it. In the same way that we are talking about your mechanics, if you find yourself getting flustered by compositional, like I forgot like the tracers on the flank, like here, well, you should be paying attention to comp swaps, right, and how you should be positioning accordingly. Or
for sure.
oh, I forgot, like I got caught off guard by primal, and so I got a little greedy with my angle, TP'd out, then I got primal and killed. Okay, well then you should be ult tracking, right? Or at least ult tracking the ults that affect you, right? So, I mean, basically what you need to kind of realize is that a lot of Overwatch has to be done deliberately, right? At your level, especially, but it can also be done very, very incrementally. Like, you don't need to do all of the things at once for you to get value out of it, right? Like you don't need to ult track 5 ults. You just need to ult track the one that matters the most to you, right? You don't need to know where all the enemies are positioned. You just need to know who's on that angle with you or the status of one CD, right? So I guess just being more deliberate about those things and then highlighting and recognizing your weaknesses in that regard and then going in and practicing those things. You're probably noticing a pattern here. Like this is how it works, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anything else when it comes to micro macro?
Um, I think my positioning's fine, but that's like
Sure.
another thing I need to like start thinking more actively of, like where I need to be right now and like where I'm gonna need to be in like let's say 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. So you're noticing it's like a little bit of everything: mechanics,
Yeah, yeah,
positioning, and yeah. I mean, it usually is. Rarely, very rarely, do you have like a narrative of like this is my main weak point. But sometimes it
hmm
happens, and that makes things a lot simpler because you don't have to think about a lot of things. But usually,
for
it's a
sure.
little bit of everything. So the good news with that though is that it gives you a lot of variety with your training because you don't have to just practice one thing. You can practice a little bit of everything. Like this game, I'll practice this game, I'll practice this game, I'll practice this. And then, all right, so now I'm doing that and I'm going to do something else. So, okay. Any other questions before we get into some replay codes here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What are we going to be looking at here?
It's an Oasis game, I think.
Is this Kiriko?
Yeah, Kiriko, yeah.
Okay. So why this code?
It was close, and I think I did well on some points and not so good on. I think the last one I struggled on a bit.
Okay. How can you
But I
tell
think
that you did well? Why? What metric do you measure that by?
um, hold on.
It's okay.
I think I was just like following up well with like my Genji on like
Okay.
this first point. And
Taking
so like,
aggressive positions, doing stuff.
yeah, and I could tell
Okay.
like that was working out for us and things
Okay.
like that.
Okay. And then when you struggle towards the end, why?
I think I was taking like some angles were a little too aggressive and like just not reacting fast enough.
Yeah, yeah, could be, could be. It's funny. I'm looking at this, and when as soon as you said Oasis, and you're like started good and ended badly, I was like, I bet you started on City Center and did it on University, and there it
Yeah,
is. It's not an accident, right? Like, so what you have to understand is like it's not making excuses for yourself. It's understanding that there's certain points that are just going to feel worse, certain matchups that are just going to feel worse, and so you have to adapt, you have to accommodate, you have to adjust. Otherwise, you're gonna struggle. So. Okay, let's take a look here. I'm gonna make some assumptions about you know how to play Kiriko. Take an angle, put pressure, teleport out, support whoever's on that angle. Do you have any other questions about Kiriko or general gameplay stuff before we get started?
I think I have a pretty decent idea of like how to play Kiriko. I'm obviously I'm not perfect, but
Okay.
like when I'm watching back my gameplay, I feel like I understand what I should be doing.
Okay. How often do you do that, and why? If you have a good idea,
Not
why are you
enough.
here?
I think it's just hard to be consistent with body myself.
Sure, it is. It's boring, right? So,
And yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, here's what our VOD reviews for today is going to be. It's going to be a little bit of teaching, but a lot of it's like the doctor's checkup. I'm going to check your knee, and check your ankle, check your throat, check the back of your neck. You know, we're going to go through everything. It's going to be deliberate, right? But
All
a
right.
lot of the times when you're VOD reviewing, you don't really need to do that, and you certainly don't need to do that often. So most of the time with VOD review, it's more of this map. Like, for example, if you were to VOD review any of this point or any of this code, I would only
Yeah.
want you to VOD review the third point because I'm suspicious that you're uncomfortable playing that map in this matchup. And so I'd want you to take a look specifically with how you played that point and take 5 minutes to do so. That's all.
Okay.
And so any particular point, map, matchup, whatever, where you feel like you really struggled or there was an ignorance, you're looking for ignorance, okay? Then that's what you would want to self-VOD review. Take a couple of notes and then, okay, lesson learned for next time. But yeah, you shouldn't need to feel a desire to VOD review too often. It doesn't need to be happening often. You don't need more information. I just think good and consistent self-awareness and then addressing weak points is important. But yeah, it's boring. That's why you need to keep it short, and that's why you need to keep it focused. Otherwise, it's a total waste of time. Okay. Sure. It's fine because you were here, right? Now we need to start taking space, right? So like that ball cycle's out, so then you just have to pray that your Juno's going to be smart and you need to start moving. Now, this is the question though, because you have a lot of choices, right? Because the Kiriko value is the +1 if you can, right? Helping somebody else take space, right? But obviously a lot of metrics are also like you don't want to be in melee range with the vast majority of characters, right? You don't really want to move from point A to point B if it's inconvenient, right? Once you're leaning towards a side of the map, you kind of want to stay there. You're not quick enough to rotate or reposition like you are a soldier or a Moira with a Fate perk, right? You kind of have to just stick with it. So for example, here, you need to start taking space and you need to start taking space now. So I know there's this desire to pull towards the Genji on the angle here, but really where should your rotation lead to at this point? And maybe even 3 or 4 seconds ago.
The left side of the map.
You're right, the left side, right? Now, you could have walked here, but if you were going to do that, that needed to have already happened. It didn't because you're peeling ball. That's fine. But you need to go ahead and start moving towards your tank. Now, again, that's weird, right? You don't always do that with Kiriko, but that's the rule. The map, the angle is what matters, not the target. And you go taking space with your hazard here while climbing up here, all of a sudden now you've met up with your Genji again. All of a sudden now you found a position for soldier. You kind of see what I'm saying? So you miss your opportunity to deepen your angle, and so now you're going to find yourself anchoring, teleporting, and getting your Suzu forced. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So your target was correct. The way that you got there was poor because you missed that 4 or 5 second window to take space with just your keyboard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like, I like the proactivity. I just hate how it was set up. I love the peel on Juno because you were there. There's just that window of opportunity that you missed, and then now you're kind of paying the piper for it, if that makes sense. Okay, good shots, good stuff. Okay. Any questions with that?
No, that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
it's just kind of hard to tell like when exactly I need to like let my Juno be and like just go.
Well, it's more about like, when the reason it was okay to heal your Juno is because you had not taken any space at all. There was no opportunity to. The fight had been
Yeah.
thrown upon you immediately. As soon as that ball's out, that's your window. That's tempo.
Right.
So it's the same. It's not just a wrecking ball tip. It's Winston, Diva, Ryan, Zarya, Sigma, Genji, Tracer, Sombra, anything. Anything applies pressure, uses CDs, disengages. You need to fill that gap. You need to fill that gap on whatever side that you want. Now, if you had walked towards your Genji and Junkrat here, I would have said, hey, this angle's probably not that good for you. Why?
It's just like really close. And,
Really close, right? So not
yeah.
always bad. I mean, situational, maybe there's Widow's in, I guess. Maybe you could be good versus those heroes here. But like just generally not the angle that you want. But at the same time, you would have actually been taking space and it would have been okay. It would have been better than what you did, right? So you would have been taking the wrong angle, but you would have been taking an angle when you had the opportunity. This, hovering here, waiting, that's not good. That's not taking space. You need to find your window to take space, do so, apply pressure, and go from there. Whether that's left or whether that's right. Your choice.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the answer is when to peel Juno. When to, it's like, well, are you next to the Juno? Then peel the Juno. And then when the Juno is not under a threat, don't wait for bad things to happen to Juno. Go prevent them from happening, if that makes sense. Like right now, you're preventing, like look what your team is doing, right? Can this ball just go kill your Juno? No. Why?
No.
Because your team is controlling space. You are controlling space. Could the ball have rotated left and gone right to your Juno? Again, uncomfortably so. Not really, right? This is what we need you to do.
Yeah.
And to be honest here, this is just, I don't know if this is a scouting issue or what. I will say, if we highlight a little detail here, I would have gone ahead and started taking this angle right now.
Yeah, I definitely should have taken it sooner.
Because if you're here sooner, you have more information. There's your pick right there, right?
Yeah.
The more information you have, the more you're confronted with your threats. The more you're confronted with your threats, the safer you are, right? There's no surprises. Surprises is what kills you. So if I look at this here, your problem is again, you notice that downtime is where you're getting killed. Or missing value. This one got you killed. The other one, just you didn't get value. Either way, it's still a mistake. So it's about using your keypad between when you have opportunities. Use your keys when you have opportunities. You're not always going to have time to rotate. So when you do, you need to go. I like the patience there with the teleport. Smart. Okay. And this is where we talked about downtime, right? You got downtime,
like
so
now
maybe you
I need to
don't.
go.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to be here. So you're like, okay, I gotta move. You gotta move, right? And honestly, that's what we're seeing. This is good. It's nice to see you actually take some space here. And like imagine if you had not taken the same amount of proactivity. These guys, one of these guys would have died, right? So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, this is just awkward for both you and the Genji.
Yeah.
If I could coach the micro, I really think this is the angle to be, right? Just the length of the vision that you have. So micro from where you are is not great. And then obviously you go to chase the Genji.
Yeah, a little
and then
bit
the Genji
communication.
chases you. But honestly, like I look at this and I'm like, I'm more irritated at like the details there. But honestly, it happens. I'm just glad that you moved your butt over here, you know? So honestly, like I can, that is funny. That is funny. That is really funny. That almost saved you too. That's really really funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that's fine. It happens. Okay. So, this is what we talked about, right? So you have a wrecking ball on you right now. Now, I wouldn't mind you actually walking towards this wrecking ball instead of rotating with your team here. Because you've seen the ball use a CD. This is the angle you want. Go get in his face.
Okay.
Move towards him. Now, don't walk. Okay, I probably shouldn't have said go get in his face, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, let's go and start contesting this guy. Because he's going to be a problem. So you dictate the terms of the engagement. Do you want to fight Wrecking Ball now? Or do you want to fight Wrecking Ball when he has the engagement that he wants? Right? Because you're not going to be able to avoid him, right? You either confront the threats on your terms or on their terms. It's the same thing with the Kiriko getting the pick on you earlier. So for here, I really think that you should go for ball. You don't go for ball, he gets. Do you see what happens though, right? Like he freaking, you didn't even see him
Right. Yeah.
coming. He got you,
Yeah.
right? He got you, right? So now, regardless of whether he gets trapped or not, let's say he uses CDs and lives. From here, you then need to go, okay, well, he's used CDs. I need to take space right now. This is too much babysitting. This is too much babysitting. This is your window to take space. You need to go take space with your team. Unless this is the angle that you want, then you can't go back. Your tempo is now. You need to find value now. Unless that guy is crit, in which case, maybe. But you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was your window to go. So you needed to go. And I want to highlight something. I think the reason why you were so oblivious during this fight,
I don't give up that easily.
I think it was Kitsune. I think there was this emphasis on Kitsune and main, Kitsune and main, Kitsune and main. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you know you're stupid or anything like that. Obviously, it's
No.
fine,
Yeah.
right. So, but I still think it's like that's something you have to consider. Is it worth shooting the ball here and then putting more pressure on him and then Kitsuneing from main, or is it would I even just deepen? Maybe pray a DPS goes to me, or maybe I just Kitsune from main, but just look at the ball, right? I don't know.
Right.
I'm not. I think these are the nuances that you're going to have to experiment with and find for yourself. Okay. Yeah, it's not a miracle that when there's space in the map, Kiriko does well. So, okay. Any questions so far?
No, I think most of this makes sense to me.
Sure. Big thing that we're seeing so far is that when you have opportunities to look to deepen an angle, you need to walk and you need to fill that gap quickly. Which angle that is, left or right, it's your choice. Obviously, we prefer a bit of range most of the time. Some distractions for you have been feeling like I have to +1 a DPS, even if you're not near them, right? So you kind of hesitate instead of just, it's fine, I can't help them, I'll help my tanker, just get my own value, right? Kitsune, that's kind of, and then frankly, just if we go back to this fight, I believe here, it's right here, just a little bit of laziness, right? For lack of a better term, right? You're just kind of, there's not a lot of urgency about which angle should I take, where are we holding? So you're just kind of like, just happy to weave and heal and shoot, right?
Yeah.
And this is obviously like that lack of investment. Like you didn't make hay while the sun shined, so to speak, right? So now when the fight starts off, you take the angle, but take the angle late, and you get surprised with the Kiriko and kill. So, okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. You decided to see the compression again, right? Don't compress, right?
Yeah.
So you want to keep a sight line, preferably on Juno or Junk or whatever. But even here, like shooting through here, this is your window here. This is your window. You're giving space up. Now, if your intention is to move towards point, then I'm cool with that, right? But then if that was the case, then you probably already should have been leaning towards here and open up your angle this way.
Okay.
If you go right,
Yeah.
you're fighting right. If you go left, you're fighting left.
Yeah. Fair enough.
You know? Crossing the street is wasted time. It's freaking like it's like playing a roguelike, you know? You got to memorize your rollout, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with this, but you just need to continue that rotation. A little bit spooky, but there's enough cover there where that probably works. And now we're cooking. I don't love the Suzu, but like now we've actually like established our space. So you and Genji on a far open angle, which is good. Juno's here, Hazard, Junkrat, and you notice that we haven't really peeled our Juno, and yet she's okay. Well, as long as we make it difficult for them to follow up or for them to compress, like I don't even agree with you going back here because now what's the danger? What's the risk? What's the risk, right?
My Genji could die. Yeah.
Your Genji could die. Your Genji could get, you're even almost as bad. Your Genji could get cleared, right? If Genji gets cleared and gets thrown here, well then now you're losing map control. You're losing threats. So you get a little fortunate here because the Moira just gives up for whatever reason. So yeah, all right. And then here, first priority, retake space. Where is that going to be? Is that going to be left? Is that going to be right? What angle do I want? Do I want high ground? Do I want to go in the left hallway? So what you're doing is you're going through the motions of what a Kiriko should on paper do, which is +1 a DPS. The reason that you +1 a DPS is because it's on an angle. That's why.
Right. Yeah.
And if the DPS isn't on an angle, you take the angle anyway, right? If you were smurfing on silver or gold, you'd never see a DPS on an angle, right? So what would you do is you just take the angle, heal your team, or damage the enemy team, and no problem, right? It's all about the space, so that you can utilize your range and you can utilize your teleport. That's why. Like right now, perfect example, right? Genji's dead. His fault. But if you stay here, first off, you'll prevent any surprises from this angle here, right? Because that's what's going to kill you or your team.
Yeah.
And number 2, you could support your tank. And number 3, you can actually safely pressure from here. This is good. You see it?
Yeah.
You see what happens? This is perfect. This is just hubris and foolishly played mechanics, right? Let's actually look at this just because it's really easy to get lazy at Kiriko. Just shoot, Be strategic. How would you win this duel?
Just play around this wall I have.
Okay, but that's level 1. You got to do better than that. Level 2. Come on, you got more tools in your kit. What makes your character unique? You got Suzu, you got teleport, you got wall climb, you got spammy shots, you got headshots. How do you win this duel? I'm going to push you with your mechanics a little bit here.
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Like, I don't know, I usually just like aim for headshots and...
Sure, that's fine. That's
like
fine.
Maybe I'll like wall climb up if I think...
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that here?
I don't know, she already like used her sleep there.
Right, but you didn't even start with a wall climb.
Yeah.
You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just confidence.
Well, explain a little bit.
Like, I don't know, I think I see an Ana, and I think that's just like an easy duel for me.
Okay. When would you use wall climb?
If I'm fighting like a cast, maybe someone that has like a little bit more kill threat.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of what I'm pushing for you, right? With your growth, right? Because you're giving me like a very surface level thing here, right? Which is obviously, and I know you know that, right? But this isn't good enough, right? So what I'm looking at here is I'm saying I have a corner and a wall to play on. Why would I not open this duel by wall climb, peeking, throwing a shot, wall climbing up, dropping, and throwing 2 shots as I fall behind the corner again, right? Throw off her crosshair placement. That's especially useful. Actually, the irony here is it's actually not as useful versus this character because she can't headshot. But if it is versus a Cassidy who can headshot, then throwing off his crosshair placement is even more valuable, right? Now, obviously, you need to be careful about how far you don't want to swing away when you fall. You want to really wall climb and fall right near the corner so you can hit the Suzu and then duck behind cover again. But this is my point, right? You have an entire aspect of your kit that you're not even utilizing in these duels. Use it, right? Use it. And then when it comes to how you take the duel here, what should you do now? It's tricky, isn't it? Should you push this?
I mean, I've got both my cooldowns. I don't think it'd be bad to push this.
Sure. Do you need to push this?
No, I think I'm denying her space right now. She can't do anything else.
Can you do something while you're denying her space?
Yeah, I could probably just look back at my team to the right.
You could corner tuck, check your team. Oh,
yeah.
That's information that's useful to know.
Right? For sure.
Right? And then you go from there. Now, obviously, this is definitely a little bit of a storm of all the possible bad things that could have happen here. But my point being is that, like, this is, like you said, this is where I think the line crosses from confidence into hubris, where you know that I have a slight advantage in this duel once the sleep dart is gone, but you then throw out all of your advantages just because you're so confident. You take no scouting information. You don't even get your Suzu off. You push wide out in the open. You swing wide and you deny yourself the cover, and then you just get murked. Right? Was that a mechanical thing? Maybe. But if we define mechanics with your awareness of what's going on around you and you're playing the duel to your advantages, right?
For sure.
And this is what I'm asking you to do. When you take an angle, let's be deliberate. Let's be decisive. Let's try practicing the wall climb there, right? Try making sure that you're staying on the corner unless you see that it's guaranteed kill, right? You don't just want to blow it. Something to consider.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a real question, right? You are on left angle here. Do you commit to left angle even if it's a small room, or do you swing wide here?
I probably don't need to go in this room right now.
Yeah, feels pretty rough, right? And I guarantee you that there's somebody behind you. Oh.
No.
Probably should have been, but that's okay.
No, yeah. I definitely should be on the other angle, but
yeah.
I guess we just got lucky.
Now this is tricky here too, because if you think about it, you're again Kitsune. It's that weird variable, right? And
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this map, there's not really an angle that you can use the Kitsune on to hit your team on main from the angle. So you're going to need a Kitsune with your team here. I like this, actually. But then you need to be thinking, oh no, I'm going to Kitsune here, but I am completely blind to here. You see this? So it's like it's the same thing we talked about the Wrecking Ball earlier. It's like, you can Kitsune with your team, but you need to understand what you're vulnerable to, which is exactly what Togepi's doing here, right? Because we were surprised that nobody was taking the angle, but there it is. And then as soon as you possibly can, what's the plan? I kind of like what you're doing right now. Why?
Because it takes the pressure of the Venture off of like the rest of my team.
Yeah. The rule is that if there's an angle threat, you got to look at it. You at least look at it. At least look at it. Right? At least look at it. No surprises. Your Caesars feel a little early. I think it's worrying about the drill dash here. But obviously it's just a bit awkward given the fact that Venture's already burrowed. So
yeah. I think I'm definitely a little too loose with it when I'm in rush.
Yeah. And I think you're a little bit too conservative with your teleport, which is ironic here. Because you just got shuffle, right? So you don't need to save your teleport here. You can just go, okay, burrow, I'm out. Frick you guys. Or the second that the burrow comes out or a grapple is used, just leave, right? So leaving with your teleporter, because now you're chaseable and killable because you're 70 HP. If that makes sense. But yeah, good Kitsune, and ironically, despite the weird start there, like I'm pleased to see you, when you are Kitsuneing on main, at least looking towards the angle that you've left uncontested, right? That's a crucial difference there, and you saw the difference, right? Like not only did you keep yourself alive, but you allowed your team to just focus on running it down on main without something shooting them in the back. You were controlling space. It's a good try. I saw the vision. I think it was the right play. Sure. I mean, you lose the angle, but you still have shuffle, so. But I do want to kind of highlight something here. It's weird to think about. So, you're down one, right? You've just lost your Juno. And then once you teleport to help your Genji, which is fine, you've lost your Junkrat, so you're still down one. How do you win this fight at this point?
We're gonna have to get a little bit creative.
You're gonna have to get a little bit creative, and yet how do you play the rest of this fight?
Pretty passive.
Pretty passive, right? Conservative. Putting out fires when it's the Great Chicago Fire, like with a bucket. You know what I'm saying? It's not happening here. So I'm not saying do something stupid here, but I'm saying like you need to, like this Genji here, frankly. Sorry. Like I don't like he may or die or may not die. It doesn't really matter. The only way you win is if we two tap Cleffa here, right? Or maybe we catch Togepi, or maybe we get triple job, or maybe we teleport out to our hazard and wall. I mean, I don't know. Like if even when you teleport your Genji, fine, but it has to be done with the intention of like I'm gonna make something happen now, because otherwise it's just like it's pointless. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I get that.
Something to consider. Okay. So this is where we talk about mechanics, very briefly. Remember we talked about like being deliberate with each shot. This is a perfect example, right? This target is massive. There is no excuse to not be aiming for the head with your particular weapon. So if I look at this and slow this down, is this a good representation of your mechanical capabilities?
No, definitely not.
Right. So the question is why is it so bad?
I think it's still like me being overconfident, like, oh, it's big. And it's like I don't try as much when I'm aiming.
Right. So whether it's panic or whether it's being too overconfident, right? It's all the same thing. It's the focus. It's the effort being put in.
For sure.
It needs to be practiced. And as simple as don't hold down your mouse 1 or whatever your primary fire for your weapon is, rather. Slow the shots down. Slow it down. DPS, maximum DPS doesn't matter if you're missing half your shots. So, something to consider. That's how I would demand it to be practiced.
Okay.
It's funny how your mechanics get better when the target is harder to hit. You notice that? I'm the same way. Most people I work with are the same way. Why? Because it demands immediately your attention, and all of a sudden you go to that that special place, right?
For sure.
That's something to weaponize. Use that. So as quickly as you can. quickly as you can. Where's this fight starting? Where's my angle? Am I going to play hard right here? I would not be looking away. That was ridiculously risky.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you content to play this angle here? Should you open up an angle here? What do you think? I mean, obviously you're June. Everyone's stacked here, so obviously that wasn't
Yeah,
your
we're too
intention.
stacked.
But would you stay here? Would you lean here? Would you follow your tank? What do you think?
I think I'd end up playing with my tank.
Okay. Yep. Don't stop. You see these are the
yeah.
hesitations that are killing you. Heal your Juno, and then quickly you have to get to here. Okay, fine. Solo contest this angle here, because now the window's gone. Now you're playing catch. You're playing catch.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not really in a position to help your junk, so you have to burn teleport. You're not really in a position to help your hazard. You're not really in a position to mark a Moira. You're not even in a position to see exactly what's going on in the battlefield here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get that.
And what happens inevitably? Do you notice how chaotic this feels?
Yeah.
That's based off of how you positioned. Whereas if I put you, let me put you nice and comfortable here. See what happens. Okay. Maybe you have to help junk. Fine. Hold the angle. And then we pop Kitsune Rush here. Whop. And now do you see how relaxing this is?
Yeah, I got
all
good
quiet in
silence
Western
on
front.
everyone.
And the reason why that is, it's not a mystery. It's because you are on the perimeter of the fight, not in the middle of the fight. Do you see where you are right now? You're pincered. You're cooked.
I gotcha. Yeah.
You're cooked. That's so important. And it's one of those judgments with Kiriko where you have to decide, is it better to maybe risk my Junkrat dying to hold an angle, or is it better to keep him alive? It's not an easy question to answer, right? And if you have to answer that question, you know, that's really the impetus of what should be driving a lot of your decisions, right? But at least start on the angle. And if you have to leave it because someone is 1 HP, okay, fine. That happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
If you're failing the hard decisions, that's fine. It's understandable. It's the easy ones that you got to watch out for. Okay, this is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's keep rolling here. Swing left, likely, simply because of the geometry, right? But I would go ahead and start swinging left right now. I would recommend something like starting here. Just climb up the wall, heal your team, get a little bit of vision. If you're contested, you obviously don't want to walk out in the middle of the open here. That's going to burn your teleport immediately, right?
Right.
So you start here, and you listen. You shoot, and you listen. You heal, and you listen. You shoot, and you listen. Maybe you peek here, you know, a little shoot. And then if you go, oh, I'm uncontested, well, I'm going to deepen, I'm going to deepen, I'm going to deepen. If you are contested, then fine. Look at her, right? Look at her, heal your team. Look at her. Make her go in the open. You see what I'm saying? It's the same concept here. The problem is here is that you're giving attention to what's in front of your screen, and then obviously you're naked to whatever's on the side. Now, your Genji's bailed you out. Thankfully, he's the one taking the space here, but just keep that in mind.
Okay.
And now, right, you see what has to happen as a result, right?
Yeah.
You have to use the cooldowns to compensate for the lack of arrow keys. And a Suzu. I really don't like your Suzus, I think. I think they're oftentimes just really bad reads of how much pressure that you're taking as well. I don't know if it's just a bad game. But obviously, teleport aside, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
But I don't see... I think it's just like it's like a sensory overload Suzu is what I'm gonna call it. It's like S.O.S. You know, like I've seen like 2 or 3 or 4 of these where it's just like there's a lot of people taking damage or a lot of things going on, even though it's nothing really super lethal. It's like you feel the need to. I just have to Suzu this. And by the way, do you notice what happens when you don't walk to the angle? You don't help the Genji, so you teleport the Genji, and then now somebody else dies that you just left, right?
Yeah.
It's the worst of both worlds. Okay. Good. Good. It's a good try. I mean, you did a good job living that. Yeah. It's that DPS problem, right? Slow it down. Just need one shot there. Good. It's a good try. Yeah, it's good. Good job. Nice. Nice. It feels like the more pressure you're under, when it comes to mechanics, like the harder the target, you just play better. Your Suzus don't get better, but your aim does. This is very nice. Good job. Good job. Good stuff. Very nice little India fight. Okay, this is good too. So, oh no, I said it too soon. Look at your team's positioning, right? There's no question about where this angle needs to be, right? You need to be here. You need to be here, and you need to heal and/or damage from this position here. It's always just a little too late, right? This is the problem, right? It's not. Yeah. You're not super late, but it's just not just late enough.
Like that extra second or two, for sure.
An extra second or two. You wonder, man, could I have dodged this grapple? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Could I have done a couple extra shots? Yeah, probably. And I would not migrate backwards either. I'd keep it right here. Posture up. If you get punched in the mouth, you got to get back up again, right? And you can't sit in the back here because now ball's going to get all the space. Trish is going to get the angle for free. So now it's way more stressful to deal with this, right? Why? Because they've already taken the space. I mean, I get it. You want to greet it. I understand. It happens.
Yeah.
But again, like, why did that happen, right? You look at that and you're like, I messed up my teleport. Yeah, but why did she get that angle for free?
Yeah.
Right? It's because
she shouldn't have been there.
Right. Yeah. They had two opportunities: one, to deny the ball earlier, and two, to actually recontest the ball and tracer sooner. You failed both. This is fine. It's a different side. I don't mind it. Now this is much deeper. You don't need to do this. This kind of an angle becomes more attractive when there's more ranged threats. Which, to be fair, there's a couple here. But yeah, this is high risk, high reward.
Yeah, I just get blown up by the cast there.
So this has happened, I think, 3 or 4 times, where you will take an angle, somebody will take the angle to mark you, and you behave very poorly in that duel. Kiriko earlier, Ana, we've seen it with Tracer, now with Cassidy. When you take this position, your number one priority is who is taking that position to. Right? So it's not a question of, I didn't know the Cassidy was there. You need to expect somebody to be here. You need to listen, assume that you're going to be contested first, then go. It's the same logic that said, hey, I don't want you walking here on rollout. Because somebody's going to be here, right? Somebody's going to be here. Assume the worst, and then when proven wrong, then you deepen your angle. So here it's just like, free value, free shots, which obviously you miss them, which is whatever. But, I mean, they're going to contest the angle. If you get your Suzu blown here and your teleport blown here, I can live with that. It's hinder, roll, cast the attention, damage or more attention. It's a good time. You'll probably be okay to get out. Mines makes it a little scary, but it's all right. But you can't die for it.
Come here.
For sure.
I can heal you. Hey there.
Whenever you take space, expect the enemy team to pay attention. Is kind of my point. Just use Katsumi.
Yeah.
Just use Katsumi. Sure. Oh, yay. That's crazy. That's crazy. Almost, right? Almost.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad position. You get a little W key pilled here, and then you just catch on the ridge there, and just like, it's so close. Like, if you could just live that a little bit longer, I think you lose this fight either way. But yeah, okay. It's unfortunate, didn't get there in time. Don't migrate. Heal it. But don't migrate.
Yeah, I gotta go to the right.
Lean here, right? Lean here. Shoot, heal, shoot, heal, shoot. I mean, look, right there it is, right?
Yep.
There's your value. Now she screwed it up too, but that's a Junkrat player on Tracer. But like, my point being is that look at the space that you're controlling now, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing very much.
A little bit feels like a little bit of fear versus maybe their DPS that maybe the Cassidy kind of burned you. Venture burned you, but you do have to take some space. Better to look your threat in the eye than stay in the back and kind of put out fires. Yeah, you could feel how little space you're controlling, and you can always tell because your tank will press W and you're immediately LOS. That's like the skill check, right? It's like the gold support skill check. My tank is always feeding. Yeah, your tank just literally walked forward like 10 meters and you were completely MIA. Right? So walk to here, shoot here, shoot, heal, shoot, heal. Okay, we're walking forward. Shoot, heal, shoot, heal. Suzu, shoot. Right? You're right. But look at where you are, right? So painful. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Fill the gap. There's that tempo that we were kind of talking about earlier, right? You've seen a couple of CDs. What space can you take as a result? This is tough. This is obviously a tough space. But this is where it's like it's really important that you hit that timing window. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. To make a lot of bad choices with the positions that you take early, it's really hard to overcompensate, to kind of come back from that. Just fine. Yeah, okay. Do you want to look at another code? We got plenty of time. We can look at more Kiriko, we can look at another hero. Totally up to you.
Yeah, I can pull up another code. I'll just grab one quick.
Sure. Any questions so far?
No, I think I'm understanding most of it. I just need to, like, just be a lot more conscious about, like, what I'm doing in my engages and.
Yes. So if I could simplify it so far, I would say use your downtime to open up your space. Don't worry so much about plus wanting a DPS if the angle doesn't make sense. Use the downtime to take space. Use the downtime to take space. Obviously, you could prioritize which angle you take and so on, but you must. You are taking angles, but it's often very late, and then you cause
it's not what I need to.
Right. Then there's definitely some panic Suzus, right? Like I said, sensory overload Suzu we got going on here, right? So it's like, just keep an eye on that. That might be a consequence of you taking poor positions, which are getting you pincered. We've seen that a few times. But it also might just be something to be more mindful of. Kitsunes have been fine. I think that's obviously a little bit more main focus. This map might be a little bit easier to Kitsune from an angle. But overall, okay. And then being a little bit more deliberate on the easier targets to shoot with your mechanics. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Come here. I can heal you.
Widow obviously makes things a bit awkward here.
Like a gentle rain.
But as long as you're intelligent with which positions you play, it's okay. Like this is like a weird happy medium, I suppose. I don't love this. I think there's a real argument to be had when Widow's on the field here that you should probably consider something like this. Or even something like really cheeky. If you can wall climb up through here as soon as you hear Widow, it might even be worth starting here with your Winston. Assume that they have an Ashe or a Widow or something like this. And then if they have like Genji Tracer, you can always just drop out or even teleport out and then go to the angle that you were here. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Just because you want to play here, but it's like, ugh, it's just going to blow my head off, right? So you want to go for a deeper angle, and then you can always teleport out if proven wrong, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
Because it's just so easy for the Ryan, if he's holding shield here, to deny so much of your value. And your Winston bails you out because he takes a really nice setup for his dive, but obviously that's tough. Not your responsibility. Not your responsibility. He's out. You need to take care of what's in front of you, right?
Sure.
So as soon as he's out, get something. Like you hit a headshot. Like she's won.
yeah.
Get
I
her.
should
So,
follow
like,
up. Yeah.
Get her. Prevent her from shooting your your Winston. There you go. Use the mechanics. Okay. Okay. Yeah, same thing here. Where it's just, it doesn't feel like we're not control. Like if I drew this here, it's even your Winston now. I mean, this is Orion's like dream, right? Like you just walk forward and there's no attention, no angles whatsoever, right?
Yeah,
so
for
it's
sure.
way too easy for this Widow to get space. It's way too easy for this Ryan to get space. Now your Winston actually goes over the top of the roof, which is actually pretty clever, but it's just much more all in because he has to use a jump to do so. And meanwhile, your Juno, your Ashe, your Mei are shooting a Ryan shield. You see the difference there? Mm-hmm. Your Winston gets this crazy engage, and what did you guys shoot? Ryan shield. Okay, that's nice. You're not utilizing your mobility right now. You notice that?
Yeah.
You're doing damage. You're just not using your mobility. It's like you wait for mid fight to start using your mobility. That's kind of the thing. Like you're not. It's not that you're a heal bot or you're sitting in the back all the time, but it's always a mid fight evolution for you, not a pre fight investment or a strategic setup.
Right. Okay.
You kind of see what I'm saying? And it's also like I would
Yeah,
have
it's
probably
like a lot
seen,
more reactive.
Yeah, and I probably would have seen more angles from you here if they had not been on Widow. It feels like you had maybe a plan to take an angle. The first little like pushback goes into your brain, and then you just completely give up. Right? That's something worth highlighting. We haven't talked as much about perks. I think the perks you're choosing are okay. I assume this one was because the map's a bit broader, in terms of like the speed of your healing.
Yeah, I
Compared
mean,
to the
I've
other
got a
one.
monkey. Sometimes he'll like
Yeah.
get away with from me, so
Yep.
it's easier to heal him.
Yep. It's fine. Obviously, shuffle is shuffle, but
Yeah, the other one didn't really.
it's a
Do that
shame
much
because the other
for
one is like conceptually cool. It's just shuffle's too strong. Just too strong.
Yeah.
You just don't. So. You see, this is kind of what I'm looking for, right? Like, your Winston's primaling. You're preventing these guys. Like, okay, you're either preventing or you're going to enable yourself here. Slow down your shots. Obviously, that Susie was something else. To be honest with you, don't teleport away.
Just stay on the angle.
Yeah, stay on the angle. You're like, oh, but I'm shooting Rhine shield. Yeah, but only you. The Rhine has to choose. You see the difference here?
I see it, yeah.
This is not bad. If you're the one forcing Rhine shield and it's just you, then you're like, all right, go ahead. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at the. She rotated her pylon around you, right? Like she rotated her pylon around you. You got soldier. You got Rhine. Like this is what's going to allow your Mei to go out. So what happens is you go, I don't like this, right? And then now instead of getting the pincer here, you can't even peek the freaking Rhine. You see this? Because you're freaking getting visored, right? Whereas if you just sat here, well, then you don't need to worry about this. You're cooking. It's a good recontest from your Mei. And you helped as well, and your Winston. But, okay. Okay. Oh, wait, we gotta see this one. This will be fun. Oh, you son of a gun. Hey, at least you had some strategy with the duel there. That's a little bit deep, but sure. Okay, let's go to another section of the map. Just practice the same kind of concepts we're talking about here. Okay, thoughts on this setup here. First off, I want to see what happened leading up to this setup. Were you there early? Were you there late? You coming out of spawn? Get the Rhine.
Yeah, I just took the duel with the BAP.
Yeah. Thoughts? Ignore the infrasight here. Pretend that there's no infrasight.
Yeah. I don't mind where I'm at. They have to
too.
like split their attention, and I can TP away if I need to.
You've got verticality, got a deep angle, you got a nice sight line on everybody but Widow, which is perfect, right? Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, they don't have that many people that can get to me.
I mean, this is what you want. This is what Kiriko does very well, right? You cannot be pushed out here. You're also very lethal at this range. I mean, even the soldier, right? Like, he walks forward. I mean, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, you do care of the Widow. But here's the funny thing here. I would not teleport out here. I feel like you're going to, but I wouldn't. Why?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, if they know I'm back there, they have to like keep thinking about me.
Yeah. I mean, you could maybe argue that I should probably drop out and rotate around behind to like change my.
I could like start rotating. Yeah, but like stay on this part of the map.
But yeah, right. So you teleport out here, and ironically, do you see how dangerous that was? Even if you don't screw up your teleport, you're moving directly in front of the enemy team. Whereas here, this is threatening. This is look at this BAP Widow's positioning in relation to where the cart is. This Brig, Roadhog, Soldier, they cannot walk. They're getting murked. Why? Because they have 2 members of their team in Guam. Use this. Use this. Use this pressure. Use your quote-unquote get-out-of-jail-free card here. And shoot Brick, and shoot Soldier, and shoot Hog, and listen, and obviously make sure that if you are contested, your eyes are on this target. And then when your teleport is burned, then it's actually earned, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Because it's like I see moments of like where you go through these motions of like, okay, we're gonna, and then you'll give it up, or if you get contested, it kind of goes out the window. So, in terms of like damage versus healing, mostly solid. I mean, obviously the mechanics in general, cover usage and CD usage, most of the time it's like it's good, right? It's not great, but it's good. Let's take some notes. I'm not going to write these in your channel. I encourage you to write them down or go back and listen to the session and write them down. But specific things to practice, what have you got? What are they?
I need to focus on like not using my Suzu like as panicked, which I think that's just got to be like a mentality shift.
Mm-hmm.
If
It's
I'm
going to be
using
something
it.
you're going to need to make mistakes with, right? And you're going to die with Suzu a couple of
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
but experiment with it. Okay, keep going.
Um, I also need to focus on like with like bigger targets to focus my aim more, not just when I'm fighting like a tracer.
Yes.
Also,
Okay,
um,
keep going.
with the angles I take, I need to be doing it like a little faster. Like use that downtime to get on the angle I want to be on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That way I
Mm-hmm.
like don't pay the price for it later.
Mm-hmm. 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 Just where's your attention going, right? Like that's the key thing, and I think that's going to take some practice and experimentation. But treat it like I think the key thing to point out is it's not just simply like take an angle and shoot, right? We were very deliberate about like as soon as Widow appears, okay, there's a tracer, Oasis University. How deep should you go on that angle?
Yeah.
I hope you find that engaging. Because if you do, that's going to make your practice a lot more deliberate and a lot more focused, which is something we talked about earlier, right? So it's not just something that you need to practice. It might be useful to make your practice better, too. Any questions?
Okay.
Those are, I think, the three main things I would look at. Do you have any questions?
Um, no, I don't know if I have any like very specific questions for you. I really appreciate it though.
Of course, of course. If